Hi everybody. So hopefully you're fine. So today we're gonna learn about some basic units and measurement. Now you might wanna skip this, but when you start to learn science, like in I don't know who will watch this video, but every eighth grade or ninth grade, or I mean sixth, seventh grade, every student when they start to learn science, they all have to go through this phase. Now why this is important? Because it teaches you many things, like in your practical life, experimental life, theoretical life. This part is very important. You might not understand it by now, but at one point in your life you will. So let's start. So before we start to study about our units and measurements, let's think about some basic science, okay? Some very, very basic science, Okay? Very, very basic science. So I guess we could do that here, and um, there's something is wrong with the mouse, I guess. I'm gonna check it now. I guess that's the problem. It's just double clicking. I'm gonna wait for a bit. Yeah, I guess it's gonna be fine now. Yeah. Sorry for the disturb and delay, so we can start now. Yeah. Yeah. So we can start now. Hopefully it will work now. So sorry for the disturbance. So how do we measure everything? Suppose you're a human being, okay? You're a human being. How do we measure you? We measure you through height. I mean scientifically, not spiritually, personally. For me, your height doesn't matter. Unless you prove through your actions, your weight, or your mass. In terms of science, we say it's your mass because that's how we measure you. Or in another case, yeah, see height and mass. Okay, these two things are the most important things that we measure you. Height and mass, and 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 in this quantities, like you might know, like suppose somebody says your height is 170 centimeter. So you see that centimeter is a unit. That centimeter is a unit. Oh, and before I finish it, this video will be kind of a two-part video, so I guess it will be helpful. So height and mass. Now we need to understand the units. At first we will use the SI units. Usually we always measure everything in SI units. For example, for length, okay, for any sort of length we use meters. I'm gonna write it fully, meters. And for weight we use kilogram, and that's what we use for your height and mass. See? And then time, for time. See, for time we use seconds. We all know that 1 minute is equals to 60 seconds. 1 hour is equals to 60 minutes. and 1 day is equals to 24 hours. So in case of measurements, we can change it from one to another. Like for if I want to convert 1 day into 24 hours, if I want to convert 1 day into 24 hours, what we will do? We'll multiply. Now you may ask, why do we need to multiply? Like, how do we get what we want by through multiplying? And for this case, we have dimensional analysis. Okay, the dimensional analysis. And let me tell you why. Suppose we know that 24 hours is equals to 1 day. Okay, and for 1 hour, we can write is that 1 hour is equals to 1/24 days. We can write that. Okay, so we can write that day. Okay, so we can also write that thing like that. So 1 day by 24 hours. So what's our target? So our target is to figure out how can we turn this 1 day into minutes instead of hours. Okay, so we can do one thing here. We can just swap it, like let's say 24 hours and then 1 day. Okay, and then we can also write that 60 minutes divided by 1 hour. Now why do we do that? We will multiply it, by the way. We'll multiply it, sorry. So why do we do that? Because we want it in minutes. Okay, we want this thing in minutes. So we want to find how much 1 day is equals to minutes. So the 1 day will stay here. So now our units, like time measuring units, like hours and hours cancels. So we get 24 into 60, which will be approximately, if I measure it my calculator properly, 1440 minutes. 1440 minutes. See, that's a perfect example of dimensional analysis. When you want to convert something to another, you can use this way. That's how we measure stuff, and that's how we convert. People will teach you like to multiply and to divide it, but you need to understand how do we do it dimensionally. So now we can write this as 1440 minutes and 1 day. That's what we can say right now, that 1 day is equals to 1440 minutes. So that's another way of explaining the topic here. So I hope you understand. That's how we do it. This is dimensional analysis. We can change one thing from another. Although we talk about dimensions in a different way in terms of physics, but I'm not gonna go through in depth right now. I'm just gonna tell you how do we measure, how do we quantify. That's my main purpose here. So we'll go for another page. So I guess I'll get for another page here. Wait a minute. Okay, it's another page here. So now let's talk about, like, we all know that we are made of atoms. Okay, we are made of what? We are made of atoms. So at first we need to say what do I say? Like the nature of science, like how everything is made. How can we go further and further. For example, suppose we have molecules. Suppose you're a human and you are made of molecules. Now, if we try to break the molecules, we will find atoms. Okay, and then if we try to break the atoms, now we're gonna go through more in depth where we will find protons, electrons, and neutrons, and protons and neutrons, okay, protons and neutrons are in a single circular shell called circular, not circular, like it's called a nucleus. Yeah, this is a nucleus, and then surrounding it will be the electrons. See, that's how we are made. Protons, electrons, and neutrons. I'm gonna write it here. Protons, electrons. Sorry for my handwriting, I'll try to improve. And neutrons. That's how we try to understand the universe, to know how it actually works. Okay? So that's how we are made. Not actually, like that's how, like what do I say? That is our nature of matter, you can say. Nature of matter. Like at first we have molecules, and if we break more we have atoms, and then proton, nucleon, and neutrons. And there's more in-depth stuff like that. Those are some advanced particle physics stuff, but we don't need to go through there. So I guess we are finished for this part, that we have understood some stuffs. And now we need to understand various things, like for measurement. Suppose you have a ruler, okay? You have a ruler. When you measure something with a ruler, you'll always see that this part, okay? This part is usually pointed as inches, and this part, like this, these are measured in centimeters. And also think to say 1 meter is equals to 100 centimeters. 1 meter is equals to 100 centimeter. I wrote m here because for shortcut we can write meter is equals to meter. And then we can also write that 1 centimeter is equals to 10 millimeter. Understand? 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeter. So now we can also say that by doing the same trick. Now what trick? Like 100 cm, that's for centimeters, 1 meter, and 10 millimeter, 1 centimeter. The centimeter cuts through, we get 1000 millimeters. So what we can say, that 1 meter is equals to 1000 millimeter. I hope you understand. So now, in the ruler, we have one point measured in inches and one side measured in centimeters. So usually we choose to measure it centimeters. And now you need to check these points, like in a ruler. For example, let's think of this as a ruler. This starts with 0, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, this is a part, like limited, like small part of a ruler. So now you can ask me that, bro, what are these? Like these small lines, what do they mean? They are they're actually smallest divisions. They actually, now you can ask one, what kind of small division? You can say it as like they're in smallest millimeter divisions. Now you can ask how. Now suppose 1 centimeter is one. Now there are millimeter divisions, like these are 1 millimeter, 1 millimeter, 1 millimeter, millimeter. Now you can ask me how. So like, if we know 1 centimeter is a 10 millimeter, then we can also write that 10 millimeter is equals to 1 centimeter. And for that, we can also write 1 millimeter equals to 1/10 centimeter. If you type it in your calculator, you can say it's a 0.1 centimeter. That means, what did I say? These lines are smallest millimeter divisions. Why? Because at 1 centimeter, see, a whole 1 centimeter is divided into 10 millimeters. It is divided into 10 millimeters. There might not be accurately 10 lines, but I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, they're accurately 10. Okay, it's from 10. So now 1 centimeter is divided into 10 millimeters. So when we are measuring with a ruler, suppose we have an object like this. So what does it measure? So what do we know? At 1 millimeter through 1 millimeter, it increases in 0.1 centimeter scale. What do I mean? Because suppose we start at 0 for one line. For one line, it is 0.1 centimeter. For 2 lines, it is 0.2 centimeter. And for 3 lines, it will be 0.3 centimeter. So now how many lines does this object covers? This is an object. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means the object is measured 0.5 centimeters. Now, you may say that, okay, we wrote it 0.5 centimeter, but why not 0.50 or 0.5000? That's a good question. But, when we use a measuring tool, for example, a ruler, a stop clock, okay, suppose this is a stop clock. When we measure a specific data from a device, that data is called raw data. Raw data, okay, raw data. So in raw data, we cannot change the number of digits after a decimal point. So you see, after decimal point, in case of measuring rulers, it's only 1. See, 1 decimal point. When you measure with a ruler, each lines here give you a measure up to 0.1. Okay, 0.1 centimeter. Like each of these lines increase by 0.1 centimeter. It does not increase by 0.100 or 0.1001. No, this does not how the ruler works. We do not do that. We do this. Okay, so that's why whenever we measure something from anything, we will use the decimal points. We will use the number of digits after a decimal point according to the measure tool. For example, in the ruler, we have it follows 0.1 centimeter. So I hope you understand. So that's how we measure stuffs. Okay, that's how we measure stuffs. So now So I guess this video has gave you some basics, like how to do, what not to do, and another thing to say, this video is only part 1. I'm gonna go step by step, basic by the basic, because I think we all need to learn step by step. You might think of it that this topic is very easy, but in future, those who are starting to learn science, this is very important. So I hope you guys will learn something wonderful through these, and hopefully you like video. I'm gonna upload videos regularly. These videos are for conceptual basics, like you need to know about these stuff. You don't need to memorize measurements. You need to know how do we measure stuffs. That was the whole point here. So I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe and share it among your friends. If you like this video, hopefully you learned a lot from it. We'll see each other again. Thank you so much.